All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons that you can for me. I need buttons. Just joking. Okay, so I want to go back and dip back into some more things that are spiritual. I've been talking about all this stuff that's going on social media, which ain't really my thing, but my wife tells me I should do it. I love you, honey. But anyway, all right, so here's the deal. There's a reason that all of this stuff comes around full circle, and it's all spiritual. And that's why I try to talk about spirituality more than anything, because that's basically my background. I was in radio and television and in the church and produced radio and television programs for the church. And I probably have heard like in a given week, I probably hear like 100 sermons a week, gospel sermons, and from all different types of people and from, all different religious affiliations and backgrounds and ideologies and everything else. So that's kind of how I got where I am. So I just wanted to, put that out there. And so then all of a sudden, I started studying Kemet. And when I studied Kemet, and then I started realizing, hey, y'all stole all this stuff. y'all don't have no original stuff. Y'all need to get some original stuff. But so that's when I discovered that. And after being, sat down by the bishops in the church several times and everything, I finally decided to leave. And the reason why a lot of the stuff that's going on is because there have been spiritual seeds planted. And I know we always, like I say, we have certain sayings in the church, like saying is sowing. Like when you say things, when you think things, all that kind of stuff, those are sowing seeds. Okay, and as you're going through sowing, and the seed time and harvest principles are correct. If you plant a seed and you water it and you fertilize it and all that kind of stuff, eventually it'll grow. That's a truism. Whatever religious book you may get it from, it is a truism. So I'm not gonna sit there and try to argue. So that's why I tell people, it's like, the whole Bible is not, or the whole Quran, or the whole Rig Vedas, or the whole Talmud, or any most religious books. And the reason why I say they're religious books, they're not spiritual books, but they're religious books. Most religious books have some truth in them if you know how to apply them to spirituality. And once again, I go back to my famous saying, anything that you do religiously should be to make you more spiritually oriented, because religion by itself is horrible. But if so you got to get, if it's moving you towards your spirituality and understanding who you are, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. So here's what the founding fathers of the United States of America did. Okay, and it was real slick. They were real slick. So they gave you first of all, they made a constitution that said there was separation of church and state. It said that that there is no national religion. There is no nothing like that. And so that's how come when all these people start talking to you about, oh, well, if you don't accept Jesus, or if you don't accept Donald Trump, then you don't love Jesus, and all this kind of stuff. Well, according to the Constitution, that's bull. All right, first of all. So the United States of America has no official religion. It doesn't even, in fact, for that matter, it doesn't even have an official language. There is no official language. So when people say, oh, speak English or go back to your country and stuff like that, that's also is not true. It's just not true. It is extremely false. So that's how come we always try to sit up here and I try to explain things. But go back, read the Constitution, read the Federalist Papers, read Thomas Jefferson's notes, and whatever else you want to read. You can read anything you want to, but I guarantee you there is no religion. Because they were coming from England, and they were coming from the crown, and the crown was trying to force Christianity upon them, and they did not like Christianity, so they forced it on slaves. So that's what your boy King James, that's why I always tell you, I said, look, the King James Bible is spells and incantations and everything against who? Against the indigenous people of the earth, because they wanted to take the indigenous people and to make them slaves and to take them captive so that they could what? They could supply the free labor for this new nation. All right. So they had a plan, and then they sold it to us as what? As manifest destiny. So in the history books, that's what it's sold to you as. It's their prophecy, and their prophecy, what? Because they planted the seed of it, and they kept on doing it over and over again, and doing the rituals and the spells over and over again. Just like I tell y'all, like beatings and hangings and lynchings and all of those things, picnics, all of that stuff, those are all rituals. Those are sacrifices. So just like you read your Bible, and if you don't know the biblical code, then you sit up there and you think, oh, this, that, and the other, whatever. This is why are they sacrificing? And then finally they get to the point where they're sacrificing all these animals, doves and cows and heifers and lambs and all this kind of stuff. And then finally they get to the point where what? They say, well, the blood of lambs and goats and cows and birds and stuff is not as effective as what? As the blood of a person. And what you don't realize is, so that when they say Jesus or whatever, what they're talking about is you. So they started sacrificing you. That's what a picnic was. On a picnic, they would go out, they would eat, they would have fellowship and enjoy each other. Then they would sacrifice a black person. If it was a man, they would cut off his testicles, and it was venerating Heru. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that, but and the story of Asar and Aset, because and the reason why, and then the penis was what? It was replaced by the tower in the church, or the steeple in the church. That's what it is. It's showing Asar's penis. And everybody can, but that's what it is. So it's a ritual. It is literally a ritual. So and then they got all the other things. And so what they did was, let me clarify this. And so what they did was, and I'm talking about the founding fathers of this country, they were all Masons. They were all in the Masonic. All right. And so they formulated everything according to what? To Masonic ritual. And so that was their religion. So they practiced their religion in private. In fact, they didn't even tell the ordinary everyday citizens what their plans were, because they were stealing. They were like, okay, and they're still stealing to this day. That's why the stuff is going on. So the tax cuts and all of this kind of stuff, and going and getting into Congress and the Electoral College, and why they were they put it out there so you could take it, but they put enough fail safes in place so that you couldn't take it. All right. So all of this stuff, everybody tries to make this almost like holier than thou thing, but really it was an evil plot. And so, like I said, so lynchings and all that kind of stuff, all of those things were basically human sacrifices to their god, Heru. And even, and some people like even wars and stuff like that, because if you look, most of the wars, except maybe, like, in fact, in all of history, all of the wars that the United States has fought, and even China's president made, maybe that's why they got the virus thing going around now, is because he made this statement. He said, if y'all wouldn't have spent so much money on wars over time, you would be the most stable place in the world. You have the most money of anybody in the world. But we try to run these wartime economies, and it's the Rothschilds theory. The Rothschilds, basically, they own the Federal Reserve, and they loan people money, and they loaned us money. And so they loaned the United States of America money backed on what? Backed on your behind, your Social Security number. So all of these things, you know, and when you add it up, and it's like you sit up there, you go, huh, you know, but they don't tell you what they're really doing. And so when I say those are spells and incantations and rituals and all that kind of stuff, that's all the Bible is. The King James Version of the Bible is like one of the most evil books ever written, if you really know what it means, and if you really know, you know, and the same thing. And so that's why I was saying, look at all the so Sodom and Gomorrah, the homosexuality, because a lot of that stuff was what? And that's how come it's coming back to haunt us now. You know, we planted spiritual seeds during slavery. The spiritual seeds were planted. That's how come we have that in the church, you know, in the Catholic Church right now. That's why you have so many priests and all these people, you know, to take a vow of celibacy is not according to the Most High. Why? There's a universal law of gender, you know, yin and yang, you know, whatever you want to call it. That's a universal law. Even basically every single living thing on earth has an opposite. Every living thing on earth has an opposite. It has a way that it reproduces, and that is the natural order. So when you take things out of the natural order, and it's not saying, and now they have all this propaganda, oh, you hate these people, you hate those people. It's not that you hate those people, it's that you're taking things out of order and out of context. Okay, so and they know that if they push an agenda of homosexuality, what happens? Then people can't reproduce, you know, because that's what they fear. That's why they didn't want polygamy. Polygamy, it was a way that you could reproduce. If I had 10 wives and each of my wives had 10 sons, I have 100 people that are what? That have my blood flowing through them and that are what? Loyal to me. But if I cut that off and if I destroy that family and I break that family up and I can't keep them together, because what? The life force, the scriptures say it, you know, that's one of the things that the scriptures had right, that our ancestors put in there, that the life force is in the blood. The life force is in the blood. So you have to understand that that's why they don't want your blood to continue. That's why they don't want your bloodlines to continue. That's why they want to kill the male. Cut off the head, the body will die. You know, and they realize, because that's seed. Okay? So and that's the whole thing behind feminism, the whole thing behind welfare, behind child support, behind like I said, the feminist movement, behind everything that goes on. It's an effort to make sure that we don't get together. Because if we get together and we form strong families and strong bonds and strong ties, they have no way to defeat us, because it's not enough of them, and there will never be enough of them. You know, because we are, according to, you know, and I'm going back to, you know, the theories of Elijah Muhammad, of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, and Noble Drew Ali, and, you know, the 5 percenters and all of those people that figured out the science. See, it's science. It ain't got nothing to do with how you feel, what you believe, and all that kind of stuff. It does not. It really doesn't. It has nothing to do with that, you know. And everything that's written in there, and it's written in the form of people, those people are just metaphors, right? They're metaphors for the real thing. You know, your higher nature is Jesus. Your lower nature is the devil. And it's all inside of you. It ain't got nothing to do with some dude in the sky or some dude in the ground under the earth. It's just saying, look, you need to be looking for your higher self. And see, they want you to look for Jesus and not you. See, because if you knew that you were Jesus and you were the higher self, then that you knew that it was already inside of you, then they couldn't enslave you. It's impossible, because you know too much. There's not, once you become enlightened, who can turn the light out? But while I'm in the world, guess what? I am the light of the world. Think and listen to it again. I am the light of the world. Fastest 15 minutes is done. Like, subscribe. I love you.